Hey everybody, this is episode 21 of Tandem Podcast. For this episode, I traveled to Austin, Texas to ride with some of the locals down there, including Andy Koch, Theo Kotick, Matt Ogle, and a lot of other people I've never heard of, but they had a really good scene there, and it was a really good vibe. Theo and Andy live together, so I recorded this episode where I was staying with them in their backyard around a fire pit, and everybody else was there. And this is a little bit different than recordings I've done before. The one in New York and the one in Minnesota, it wasn't like a sort of like studio setup recording when I did those episodes, but I was hand holding the microphone and had it near their face when they were talking, so the recordings were pretty clean. And for this one, I was recording, 5 people sitting around a fire pit. So the microphone remained in one place because I wanted to get sort of that atmospheric sound, and I think it worked out pretty good. I had to do some tweaking to the audio to get people's voices to pick up a little bit more, but I just want to keep experimenting with different ways of recording this. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And they had a lot of good insight because they're starting a new company called Brother Scooters, and it's pretty ambitious because they're just doing it on the side, and it's so much work, but it's all pretty exciting. So here it is, my talk with all the Austin guys.
We come from all sorts of people, quite a family line. And when we together, we like to lose our minds. Well, don't mess with me, 'cause she'll mess with you, and we'll give you hell before we turn you loose. Rolling deep, family.
Dylan, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's been a real pleasure, my friend.
Thank you for inviting us into your living room.
It's been a pleasure, but we have to go.
It's very cozy. This fire in your living room is great.
Yeah.
It's really warming the hearth.
All right. Who do you think would be best? I want you guys to describe the Austin scooter scene, because people know all of you guys are in Austin scootering, but I don't think they understand what you guys have going, at least from what I've seen from it.
Rider wise.
Well, because Andy and Theo live together, so it's it's I mean, I guess that's what you're trying to do with Brother. It's not, you guys just don't ride together on a Saturday and a Sunday like you do other things together, you know what I mean?
Right.
So so sort of set the stage for people with how the scene is in Austin with you guys, and also everybody else who rides, and then all the other stuff you guys do.
Yeah, I'll start that one off just because, so I moved to Austin in 2012, end of 2012. So I graduated college and got a job at Dell, and that's kind of, in my opinion, how the Austin scene started picking up.
Yeah.
I rode in shortly after. I met Austin Haley, who was one of the first Austin riders that I met, younger dude. And then from there, kind of Theo got recruited after that, and Andy's the newest, so I would say, of the legitimate riders that are known and kind of establishing Austin as a scene.
Yeah.
So I would say at a high level, that's the timeline of it. And then you've got smaller riders. Of course, Austin has a scene. It's small right now. Dallas, I would say Dallas was the biggest city in Texas first that established itself as loaded with scooter riders. And Austin, we have a community, but it's small. There's 20, 30 riders locally that are, pretty good. And you maybe have 50 total that just exist, mm-hmm. with 5 that are known, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, what do you guys think? You, Andy?
Well, Theo and I actually met in Dallas in what would you say, 2010,
2008 or 9.
8 or 9,
yeah.
Something like that. And we rode and made videos together here and there, but then I think right when Theo moved to A&M. He was in the Austin area around that time, I would say. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I'd say that's right. Yeah.
So
That's when I started visiting Austin a lot more frequently, and just because it's a lot closer than Dallas is. Dallas, it's about a 3-hour drive, and then College Station, where Texas A&M was, and I was going to school, was about an hour and a half away from Austin.
Yeah.
So I'd make trips more frequently out here, especially after Matt moved out here. So Matt's definitely spot on when he says he's kind of the founding father of the Austin scene in a way, I would say. You know, before that it was probably just smattering of kids that had scooters were riding around and maybe just were trying to feel their way through whatever they were doing, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe that.
Because you guys seemed like you were so spread out, and then it's like it kind of like naturally like everything came to the city. And do you think that was for obviously like all you guys work at Dell, so you work for the same company, but how much was it with just like being able to get good careers, or like just kind of having like a group mentality of wanting to be in the same place and do something with scootering? How much of a factor was that?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great
pretty
question.
relevant.
Because it's like all you guys I'm assuming like you had to drive like an hour or two, right, to ride with each other previously, because
Right.
you guys were kind of spread out.
Yeah.
And that now you guys are all here, so like
Yeah.
did you think about that, or was it just kind of
Yeah.
like, oh well, we're all gonna move to Austin?
Yeah, for sure. I'll take that one. So yeah, that was definitely a big part of it. Was just, I mean, there was a concerted effort to get everyone into Austin, and we didn't even get everyone here that we wanted yet. But I mean, before we were driving, Matt grew up in Houston and then was going to school in Waco the same time I was going to school in College Station. So you're talking, College Station to Waco about an hour, College Station to Houston about an hour, and then everything's fairly spread out in Texas. But we would meet up and ride occasionally after we had met up. I met Matt randomly at my local skate park up in Dallas in Louisville, at Louisville Skate Park, and just happened to be riding there the same day as him while I was back from school on break. And was like, oh, there's another person that's not, or that's similar to my age, I guess, riding a scooter. That must be somebody I know. And then on closer inspection, it was definitely Matt Ogle, whose videos I had seen on Scooter Resource growing up, just like riding in Houston, the Houston OG. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up and introduce myself. And we just like struck up a friendship from there, and like we visited each other a few times when we were still in school. And then Matt moved to Austin, and by the time I was about ready to graduate and trying to figure out my next step or whatever, I was like, applying for jobs, and it just popped into my mind kind of as an afterthought almost, because Austin was a fairly normal place for me to go to at that point. I was like, oh, I should apply for some jobs in Austin. I was kind of looking around Texas, working with just companies that had people working at them that I knew, so I could potentially have a foot in the door, And so I hit up Matt, and he was like, yeah, man, you should definitely apply for Dell. And I was like, yeah, I'm looking for a sales job. I'll see if there's anything open. I applied for a job. He gave me a recommendation, and I interviewed and then got a job with Dell, which was amazing and a blessing. And from there, I was like, I had that offer and then another offer that would have taken me to Houston. And it was kind of a combination of factors of like, okay, if I move to Austin, Matt and I are going to be roommates, because we had already kind of talked about that, just like, hey, let's room together if I move to Austin, if I get this job. And then the other option was move to Houston, or live with some other friends that I knew from school. And I was like, moving to Austin, living with a guy who scooters and is really good, and I can kind of keep that part of my life going, and then have a good job too. It was like no brainer, to be honest.
I think that was kind of the biggest part of it, was that no one in Texas at all, and still really, had committed to making like a scene, had committed to making like a group of riders that, and it's really just Theo and I, now Andy, but no one had tried to make that happen. And that had been my life, like more or less. Like I'd had multiple crews growing up, yada yada, But Theo taking that risk because he had a couple other job offers that at the time might have even seemed better, but he chose to come to Austin. Because Dell's a great company, but also to keep, like you said, keep that passion going for scootering and keep that involvement going, and have the potential to build something and start something in Austin. And I think that's kind of what we're currently doing. Andy has come on board now, and so we kind of have more of a crew at this point. And again, we have locals, I can shout them all out, but it's Austin Haley being the OG. We've got Alan Nicholson, and then we've got multiple others, like Josh Fuller's moved in, Corey Van Leeuw's moved in, Connor Woods. More riders that are committed are coming here, and I think that's now that's starting to birth this. What I hope to be is a movement that will be in Austin or just in Texas in general. One of my goals really, or one of my passions of doing brother scooters, which we'll get to, but is to just make Texas a more prominent state for scooter riding. It's just very diverse. There's no crews. There's no, there's a couple known riders, but there's no known crews. There's no known entities that exist here outside of the Austin, street jam / crew. So I guess that's my take on it.
Yeah. Well, and then I followed with Theo. I was in Lubbock, which was 6 hours west of Dallas. I went to school there for 5.5 years. And I almost quit scootering, to be honest, because I wouldn't have anyone to actually scooter with for that period of time. And coincidentally, that was a weird time because I was somewhere new, not really scootering with anybody. But when I would go on breaks, I would usually choose to go to Austin just because it was the destination at that point. Theo and Matt were both really welcoming at their houses and apartments. Let me stay, and especially for street jams, the first few were really gnarly. But yeah, no, it was more of a destination, and over time, I was just recently actually. I was always talking about, hey, what if I moved here? We could all live in the house together. Obviously wishful thinking at the time, but I would have to graduate, and then I would have to get a job, and then find just all these things put together. But if we did that, we could scooter all the time. It was the one thing that really stuck everyone together is that we could keep doing this and live it every single day by choice. A lot of kids grow up and have their scooter crews just because they're relatively close to each other. But I feel like Texas is just so widespread all the time. And once you figure out that someone's scootering and that's also committed, and getting older and through life, they're kind of seeing the same things, but at the same time they still have that spark of creativity that scootering really brings. I mean, of course I'm going to do that. So I applied, I interviewed, and I came out here multiple times last summer. I got the job, and then I also work at Dell now, so Theo and I see each other quite often at work, and it's so surreal at this point because we always thought about getting everyone together. Years ago, shoot, right. We know each other so
and let it be known
now.
Too that it's all happened through references.
Yeah,
I got my job honestly through my dad, more or less.
Yeah,
Theo got his job a part, 25% because I referenced him. Andy got his job because Theo and I referenced Andy.
Yeah,
so come on, Mike, get your ass over here.
The double knockout, man, it was so cool.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, no, it's kind of weird. Now it's very real, and we get to do it whenever we get to scooter whenever we want, and I'm really happy that they're kind of manifesting this vibe that they have of scootering together, kind of not thinking about anything else and kind of manifesting it into a company, into Brother, and that's something that everyone can equally put their energy into, and that's this is probably what I believe Brother Scooters is going to, is just that beacon for Texas, kind of don't worry, this is even though the state's so big, we can all still come together, and no matter where we come from or how old we are or whatever, we have this common interest, which is scootering, and wherever you can go in the state or even the country, if you scooter, then you're kind of I get it. we can put you up in my house. You know, you can kind of discover my area. Like we all travel and scootering and stuff like that. But Texas is so big that it's kind of like once you know that there's this gathering of people and it's kind of getting a lot of buzz. It was something that was really cool and kind of a no-brainer to be a part of. So now I still feel like a kid every single day just because I'm still getting to do the thing I love doing with my friends, even till right now. Like, it was something I was doing in middle school and high school, and I still, you know, can do it with my friends, and that's what really made me come here. I mean, more so than a job. The job's great, and I get to kind of professionally bounce off of these guys at the same time, which is also another cool thing I get to do. But at the end of the day, we all know each other because of scootering, and that's so wild to me that I can move my life, progress it forward, thanks to scootering. Indirectly.
Yeah.
Oh, directly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I feel like you even touched on an interesting point there, that I feel like in Texas especially, but maybe even in the scootering world as a whole, I feel like everyone faces this decision at some point in their lives with, like, okay, do I want to go all in on scootering, or do I want to, like, go all in on, like, you know, having a job, choosing a professional path or whatever. And I think all of our perspectives were just like, wait, why can't you just do both? And and that was kind of the decision that we made. And, you know, whether it's right or it's wrong, it certainly had its challenges, because, you know, we're working 5 days a week, you know, 8 to 5 every day, and it's you know, it's certainly a grind at times, but and it can be difficult to muster up the will to go scooter at the end of the day. But essentially, the decision that we all kind of made independently, but then also kind of together at the same time, was like, we want to do both of these things. Scootering is an important part of what we do and who we are, and it's created, you know, it's formed so many awesome friendships, and it's given us so many experiences that we're super thankful for and we value, to the point where we want to keep doing it, even though we've graduated from college and we're like, you know, the theoretical next step in this, you know, kind of like just kind of cliche, you know, path of life is just like go to college and then get a job after that, and then, you know, whatever, family and kids after that. You know, we're kind of doing both at the same time, which is interesting. It's almost like an experiment.
I honestly think that I don't know if it's cliche or whatever, but I think we're trying to pioneer something. Like, even though, like, people think that there's life after scootering, like, no, it can be at the same time as your life if you do it right. Like, you can keep this going, and then giving, you know, hope to kids that, like, kind of, I've been doing this for so long, like, what do I do now? Like, I can't be a professional scooter rider, so I feel like I'm a failure. Like, no, dude, like, you're just as special as everyone else that's, like, trying to scooter. Like, you deserve to do it, but you also have to be responsible and kind of lead your life into the right way to, you know, sustain yourself. You gotta, like, support yourself, but that doesn't mean, like, that doesn't make you have to, like, think less about the thing that you love doing out of, like, you know, the passion that you have. Scootering is just like a weird thing, and if you love it, that's awesome, and, like, it's very gratifying. I've learned a lot of lessons from scootering, you know, and, you know, I just feel like just saying, like, oh, I'm too old, and then kind of abandoning it at this point in my life, I feel like I haven't learned anything if I do that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, your bones creak or whatever when you get older and you get in a lot of pain, but shoot, like, you see park sharks, the knee pads at the bowls on Sunday mornings. They love it. They love it.
Yeah.
And we all see them, and you're like, man, I can't believe people are skating for that long. Like, you can do it, man. You can scooter for this long, and it's like, just because you're older, like, doesn't, like, you shouldn't think any differently. And you really lose your childlike wonder and creativity if you give all that time and effort that you put into it. You kind of give it up, you know, and think less of it at this point. And I've really taken a lot of gratitude I take a lot of, or give a lot of gratitude for scootering, just because of everything that I've learned from it. So yeah.
How much of a factor do you guys think that having a real life community keeping you motivated through adult life, like keeping you interested in scootering plays versus there's an enormous virtual community, but what is the importance of having the real life community that you guys have?
You take this, Jay?
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds right up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think, here's my view on it. Like, I'm pretty old school, and I'm not past my prime, but I'm at a point where it's like, I want to do this forever. I've been riding forever, and I don't ever want to stop. I want to ride till I die. And it's always been community. We've always made videos. We've always been connected. It's like we've never been outside of social media. Like, we love, like, 2 years after I first started, like, we created this thing called Scooter Insanity. We were, that's, and since then, 2004 onwards, I've been making videos and been a part of that. But it's never been about that. Like, that's the documentation of the actual times, which were the memories.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's the whole point. The whole point is that I personally, my passion, my interest, and my joy outside of, the normal parts of life and whatever that you have to offer in your life, that's what brings me joy. So getting to do that and hang out with my homies and progress and take a hobby and continue to progress it as long as I can, as long as my body will hold up. If I get to do that with friends and in community, like, to me, that is more important than anything. So, to me, that's the driving factor. It's like, how long can I keep this ball rolling? Because I know if I was alone, I wouldn't be riding as much. That's just the way it is at this point in my life. Like, I think it's crucial that it kind of goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do here with Brother, but it's like, I want to, again, have some sort of localized central point in Texas where the scene can develop and people know they can go to this city if they want to ride forever, whether that be they're committed to riding or they're, trying to do a job and ride, whatever their long-term goals are. They can come here and there is a community of people. I'm not fully answering your question. Like, to be honest, I don't have much to say on the social media, on the virtual side of scootering, because to me that's just kind of that was never what it was about. Like, we had the scooter resource, again, we were connected, but it wasn't about that. Like, that wasn't the point, was to get clout, right? It was to have fun, build memories, progress, and like, be the best you can be. And if that's the best, awesome, like, you should try to be the best. But at the same time, it's like, dude, like, for me anyway, I know I'll never be the best. I don't want to be the best. I just want to be the best that I can be and have fun with my friends doing it.
Can I put out a... Oh, can I say something?
Yeah.
No.
Raise your hand.
I mean, like, it's so cool because you can kind of do both in a way, while, like, having a community, a solid group of guys that have got your back. That's kind of hard to, we talk about it all the time. It's hard to, like, kind of, like, grow up in that way and then have it sustain. Everyone moves away or everyone quits or something like that.
Yeah.
So you kind of need that outreach, and scooter resource. I'm sure, like, we've all been there. Like, that was how the kindling for a scootering, I feel like, really caught fire. And every day you just go onto a forum. What is that considered, Web 1.0? It's like the forum.
Second
Stop.
Jenkins math right now.
I don't know.
Web 1.0, where it was just
I
like
ran out of
forums
fingers.
and like people like that's how the internet really was. It was
Yeah.
just like text, things like that. But yeah, that kind of internet format died out. But like, really, scootering did start on the internet. I feel like I honestly do feel that way, because once I really saw the community that was out there, it really, like, made me want to progress and then show people that what I'm doing. Like, hey, I'm out here, like, I'm crying out, like,
Yeah.
like, there are these guys everywhere.
Notice me. Like me.
There's these guys everywhere that do the same thing as I do.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that. But yeah, the community now is I would say it's more about vanity. Yeah, it's really hard to really say that, because a lot of people have progressed through scootering. You can see that, but it's more so it's lost those really deep connected relationships, because like scootering's just it's an odd thing. And then if you don't have people that you can consistently talk to and kind of reflect on, you kind of have to assume what's going on. I feel like so. I'm not sure. I think it was really valuable for me to be around guys that kind of accepted me for who I am, even if it is skaters. I mean, shoot, like just around like physical people, seeing what I'm doing and how and like kind of reacting to how I'm feeling. But the internet side is like, wow, you're doing great, and that's about it. You kind of forget about what's going on, or at least like really the deeper level of connection. Like this is something that I'm doing now, and I just you would need, you kind of feel lonely in a way if you're constantly only like on social media. But I mean, shoot, I'm on social media all the time too, so I'm not going to say. Maybe I do feel lonely,
Lord.
But you know, I still have these guys to kind of like balance it out, and we have multiple days out of the week that we can just like clown around at spots, and kind of, it's not all about scootering in a way.
Yeah.
So those are the things that keep me going.
Yeah.
So if kids really have to show that like through their progression is how they keep connected in scootering, that's great. But I feel like there's value in those relationships that you do have when you connect with people via the internet. I mean, shoot.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Your shutter's still open.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Just making sure. It's
On the
about that time. yeah.
So I'm wondering, I don't know the answer, when the Austin Street Jam started and like what was that initial motivation. And then I also just want you guys to think of some crazy stories that happened at the Street Jam, because I know, it gets
great ones.
I know it gets real crazy.
Some great ones.
It got a little rowdy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Austin Street Jam started 2013. I'll tell you, I'll leave you guys with the stories.
No, you have to tell a story.
Oh, definitely, yeah, for sure.
For sure.
But it started in 2013. Essentially, I think it was ISA had finally given like a big park comp in Texas. It was in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
But that's all we had. It was like maybe 2010. They started like doing their ISA qualifier in Dallas, which is actually stopping this year. But so there's our one. It's gone already.
Yeah.
But which is more opportunity for us, honestly. It's
And
like
it's
organized and have rider organized park comps and street comps. But anyway, yeah. So it started in 2013. So it's 5 years running. 2019 this year will be 6 years running, and yeah. So I mean, really, the motivation behind it was just that. Well, gosh, we got one park comp, and it's poorly run, dude. Like dubstep is playing the entire time. Little kids crying because they were like they miss a dub whip, and it's a park comp, and it's just so serious. And I like park. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not even dogging on park. I grew up doing street and park, and I still do street and park. But park comps are just different. Street jams rather are just like send it. It's just like have a good time and send it. And we didn't have that, and they were kind of forming. I think that maybe in 2013, like there's like 10 to 15 street jams, and so I don't even know if it was just me. I almost feel like it was just me or you and I. It was either Theo and I or just me. I forget.
If I helped at all, it was from College Station. So
Yeah,
I
'cause
couldn't
you were
help
remote,
that much.
right.
Yeah, I was in college at the time.
So I feel like it was like, I don't know, but I feel like it was just me that started that all in 2013, and it was just kind of like figuring out, okay, like how do I just get sponsors? How do I route? It's like it's more or less simple math. Like you just know what to do if you just go for it.
Yeah.
And then since then it's been running, and I wouldn't say it's grown. I'd say if anything, it's like it caps out at like 80 people, and it's the perfect amount to get like kind of wild with the locals, or like not the locals, the travelers that come into town. Like it's like low key. So like a group of 15 to 20 dudes that really go for it at a party, plus like another 10 that are local. Out of it gets kind of wily like after the jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'd say like scooter wise, like always going to the Green Goblin is such a treasure, man. For me, I just always like to see who's ballsing up that year. So Green Goblin for the tapes is like this 18 stair handrail where you can hit it. The rail's on the left side, 18 stairs. It's massive. This rail's huge. And on the other side of the 18 set is just flat. So essentially, like you miss the rail, you're hitting to flat.
It's a freaking drop.
It's
Dude,
a drop.
it's huge.
It's a drop and a half.
It was an inline rail. like they gave it that name.
Yeah,
Green
in letters.
Goblin.
Yeah, it was a bunch of rollerbladers. That's
So like
right.
seeing scooter riders, like, and some have really manned up to it. Like we had Caleb Eldridge backlip it, Mike Holman switch frontboard it. Name some others. I'm missing. Matt McKean hit it first. Like
Backlip. Oh no,
McKean-
backboard.
yeah, Matt McKean backboarded. But we had like a couple people really manned up to this rail and go for it. So scooter wise, like that's always a treat to see. Like just kind of like we just kind of like ride by it, stop for a second, and just kind of shut up and wait to see which riders are just like, okay, I'm going for it this year, you know. I'm like, all right, fuck it, let's go.
Well, it's interesting because it's like there's only so much you can do on it.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
That's dude, and that's been my thought.
That's always been
will-
Theo's thought.
Matt
yeah.
will tell you every year. I'm like, Matt, is this the year we don't go to the Green Goblin? Like, we're just gonna go there and people are gonna throw the same tricks. But then, like, I mean, my expectations are defied almost every year, with
Yeah.
the exception of a couple.
I guess
But-
someone could 50 it.
Oh, it hasn't been
Yeah,
done.
that hasn't been done.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Easily.
Yeah, lip slide's been done. Board slide's been done.
Had a drop. Yeah.
Lip slide, yeah. Backlip has been done. Switch front board. Regular front board has not been done.
Oh, front scoot.
50.
Eli Kravitz front scooter. Flip the
Eli
whole 18 set.
inwarded it, man.
Yeah, or inwarded it,
That
whatever it
was
is.
that was heavy. And
Yeah.
Clayton Lindley tried
Oh,
to
yeah,
inward it
first-
one year. No, sorry, my
Truck
bad.
driver.
Jordan. No. It was Jordan, right?
Last year?
Clayton tried.
Oh,
Clayton tried to
yeah,
free
it
bar
was Jordan, dude. Jordan Armacost, shout
Jordan
out.
Armacost tried to inward it. The
The
first
first
year
year,
we
and
did the street jam.
Broke his ankle, dude. It was so gnarly.
Broke his ankle on the landing.
And-
It was
and
insane.
Yeah. Oh, Jordan Armacost is an OG from the Woodlands from 06. And he hasn't ridden, at that time in 2013, he hadn't ridden like probably 4 years. And he's always been a hucker, and so is Ryan Davis, his friend. But Jordan like manned up to it. He's like, I'm just going to go for it, bro. And it was a
Just
tragedy.
gonna send it.
Year of healing on that. But anyway, so you can get broke on Green Goblin.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, okay, because Matt is just being all humble right now, I will go ahead and explain the roots of the Austin Street Jam even more, because in my mind, it is a legendary jam. It may not even be like that for a lot of
Well,
people.
I kind of think of it as like a, I don't know, as like a destination jam. It's like the scooter South by Southwest. Because it's like, I mean, you said there's only 80 people, but I feel like 30 of those people are like really well-known scooter riders, and they all come here and they're like really dedicated, and it's like this whole destination thing.
Yeah.
Kind of unlike, I don't know, but I mean, Chicago Jam is like that too, but I don't know, I just feel like there's people that are so dedicated to coming here
Yeah,
compared to like any other jam.
Right, yeah. Dude, okay, well, that's helpful to have an outsider's perspective, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah.
You know, it's like, it's always. I mean, we have a great time hosting it every year, and it's been a blast. We've done it for 5 years now, which is kind of crazy to think about. But it started. It was originally Matt's brainchild, like you kind of touched on. It was just something that we didn't have in Texas. It was something that was starting to pop up around the country. You know, there was the Chicago Jam. Some of the bigger jams were happening at that point, and we were. I mean, Matt was like, I want to do a street jam here. And I was like, okay, cool, man. I'm like, an hour and 45 minutes away from him or something. Like, all right, let's do it. You go for that. And so
I'll be there.
Matt totally put the wheels in motion and just like, just leveraged his contacts that he had within scooter riding in the scooter resource days, who were at that point either working at companies or owned companies.
Nice.
And good hit, dude. And
We're chopping wood over here.
and he just like utilized those contacts to put something together and get some sponsors hooked up. And I mean, shoot, man, the first year, a lot of people from Texas came out. It was like the core of the Texas scene just came from all around, from Houston, from Dallas. Obviously, people from Austin, though there weren't that many at that point. And we all met up. We all converged. We stayed at the house that Matt was living at that point, and everyone just went for it. It was so fun, and the next year, that was while I was still in college, and then the next year I was living in Austin, and Matt and I were roommates, and we just kept it going. But Matt's efforts were what started that off, which is crazy, and he just willed it into existence basically, and from there it's just blossomed into this thing where we do it every year. It's like it stays to a low key amount of people, which is awesome. It's never become like Chicago Street Jam levels, though that was awesome too. We went 1 year to that, and that was so fun pushing around Chicago with like 500 people, you know?
Yeah.
We probably capped out at like maybe a little over 100, I think. It was our
on our
highest
best
count.
year.
But that felt great, you know, for the size of the city that this is, and the fact that most of the people that come from out of state are staying with us usually. It's been perfect. And man, as far as like fun stories from the Austin Street Jam, I'm gonna try and just limit it to like 3 right now. But there was 1 year, but infinite good times at the Austin Street Jam. But one year, this must have been 2015 maybe, and yes, it was probably the second Street Jam, and we had like, you know, a lot of people were hitting us up to a lot of people were hitting us up from like around the state and everything around the country to come out to the Street Jam, and there was going to be all kinds of people there, you know. Elliot Arnold was coming in, and the Proto team was coming in,
Yeah,
and
that
like
was our big year.
some people from the Tilt team were coming in. It was all these people, the Florida Ride crew were coming in.
Yep.
And shoot, it was all these people, and then like the week before the jam, in typical Texas fashion, because we were doing it earlier in the year at that point, it starts like, it's so cold. It was like, it was in the 30s, and it was raining, and it was just like the shittiest weather. And so, you know, the jam approaches, and it's not clearing up. So we got to figure out a plan B, right? So Matt and I are doing this mad mission to scout around the city for covered spots, just trying to, or like looking into the cost of like a pop-up, you know, canopy basically to put over a spot that we could ride, you know, with like.
It was a quick thought.
Yeah, just unrealistically thinking we could have a street jam under like a canopy, you know. And the Proto guys come in through San Antonio because they road trip that year, and there's a great YouTube video documenting that trip and all the mishaps on it.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of stories coming out of that trip, you know, the trip from hell, I think, but. They came in through El Paso and then San Antonio, and then eventually made it to Austin, and they told us about this DIY that they found in San Antonio, and it was under a bridge, and it was this amazing DIY. They showed us pictures from it and everything, and they were like, hey, we're riding this today. And we ended up choosing that as the alternate destination for the street jam. Yeah. So we real quick, like, you know, messaged out to everybody, like posted something on Facebook, like, hey everyone, we're going to San Antonio for the jam. we're doing it at this location. Come to this address. Surprisingly, like, I think everybody that had come in for the jam made it down to San Antonio, and I had a broken ankle at the time, which was fun. And we slid down into this ditch underneath a bridge, and just had the session underneath a bridge at this DIY, which is like kind of a legendary DIY in San Antonio now that I know about it. And it was so fun, man. Andrew Broussard like started a big old bonfire right at the end of it. You know, pretty much the entire jam he was stockpiling wood and like pulling in driftwood and all this stuff, and just like building a massive like funeral pyre sized thing of like firewood.
Classic Andrew.
Definitely, man. So everyone rides, and we filmed a little video and everything, and then at the end he doused that thing in gasoline and just lit it all up right as the water started pouring under the bridge from the sewers, basically. So there's water everywhere and gasoline in the water, like lighting up trails around the fire. It was insane. Everyone's screaming and like breaking bottles. It was the most primal thing I've ever experienced. Just like discovering fire for the first time.
It was primitive, bro.
We were all freezing our asses off that day, you know, and it was so that was a blast. And then, I mean, just all the memorable times here at Turd Ranch, like having 30 guys stay with us. Back in, I guess that was 2017. That was the 2017 jam. We had 30 people staying at our house, which is not that big.
That was the red carpet one, dude.
That's unreal.
Oh, wait. Are you talking about Josh Fuller?
What?
Wait, what do you mean
the red carpet? No. As in, like, everyone showing up to just basically, hey, we heard, like, a couple years ago you guys had this thing going on. We brought the beer, and that's basically what it was.
And the locals coming in from Louisiana, and Tadpole and Frog, his father. Tadpole's father is Frog, and he was hooking us all up with beer, buying beer for everyone, and we just had a big old hoedown here in the backyard. There was some like random like vagrant that was just wandering around Austin with a fiddle, named Pip.
Oh yeah, Pip,
And
dude.
he met up
There's
with us throughout the day, you know, while we were riding downtown, and he was just like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" You know, and we were like riding scooters.
we're like, can you
And he
fiddle for our after party?
He just hung out with us the whole day, and then at the end of the day, we invited him to the after party, and he came over and he's just sawing on the fiddle in the backyard, and everyone's dancing around in a drunken stupor.
What?
Around Josh Fuller's freaking
dude,
dojo.
I want to get too deep into the after parties, but they're always a good time. Like we had Grant Schofield, Shotgun Schofield, like jump off the roof into a kiddie pool.
Yep.
And, like
at Shotgun Schofield. Follow him.
Follow him. He's a good man. And just like all, you know, dude, like I mean, like Tyler Whelan and Kirk and everybody Stedman, like everybody goes for it, man. Like they know how to have a good time, man. The boys will be boys.
I think that was a transformative year, and it's like turning more into an event for the kids during the day.
Yeah.
But then one of the older scooter guys can like really just like enjoy the city of Austin, and like enjoy the vibe that you guys have really kind of created and out of your friendship too. Kind of just like welcome everyone into their home, and everyone was having a great time. Everyone scootered. It was really hot, of course, but like everyone scootered, had a great time. We hit the lake multiple times.
That's another thing real quick I'll get on to. Like we usually either after the street jam directly or both, or like the day after, we'll hit up like a water hole, and it's so fun, man, because it'll either be like like we're exhausted after street jam, so we hit the water, we just get to like kick it back with a couple beers, or it's like the day after and we're just having another after party at the water hole, and it's like really fun. So like those are always other things to, like look forward to, and all the boys just being boys, like being wily. I think you're right though, Andy. I think that at first, and it still is, like the goal of it is to bring the Texas Riders together. That's the point, but at the same time, we're grown men. Like, dude, we're adults, so we want to have fun with adults and have an after party. So come on in, guys. Like all the homies that come on in, we're so grateful for you. Like, let's have an after party. So it kind of gears away towards kids at that point.
if I can talk about the evolution of the street jam from my perspective, I want to say street jam number 1 was at 2013.
Yeah,
that was a crazy year because it was your first street jam, and I think it was just mostly just local kids and kids from Dallas.
Plus McKean.
And then Matt McKean came.
Mm-hmm.
He was the only guy that really like came out to do it.
That's right.
I really forget.
Shout out to McKean.
How did he actually get here again? Like what initiated it? Do you remember?
We probably just reach out to him.
Oh, he had a friend. He had Justin and Emma. I think it was visiting them, right?
No.
I'm sure that's not.
He was there for the.
Yeah, it was for the jam.
It was for the jam.
But that's probably a perk.
Okay. But yeah, no, it was so weird. He was just like, we've never met him before. Like, us three only know him through, like, videos. And he was, like, really supportive of, like, coming out and doing it. And he did. It was, I think, that, like, one of the funnier things is, like, the day before the jam, that party at your house. Was it the before or after party?
Talking about the green couch?
Yeah. It was...
Day before, yeah.
I loved it. It was so weird. Because, like, he kind of just... I don't know. He was the only he was just so well known there, but then we're all just like kind of. I felt like I was just a kid at the time, and then we're all just yeah. So yeah, I'm right. I did feel like a
child's plaything.
Yeah, whatever. But we were all like partying upstairs, and like mostly like just high school kids or whatever. And then he was trying to go to sleep. And he we were all just really rowdy, so he fell asleep in Matt's garage couch.
It was filthy.
And we were like, next day, we were like, where did McKean go? And then we opened the garage door, and he's passed out on the couch in the garage.
The grimy
I'm like,
ass couch.
How can we treat our guests like this? How can we do this? Like, I was livid. I was like, no. He is a guest in this house. It wasn't my house. It was Matt's house. But I was just like, he's a guest in this house. He's a guest here. I can't believe this. But it was just such a weird picture to see. And then the next day, I mean, like, shoot, he was having a great time. We were all having a great time. Just, like, really, like, there was no, like, it was a small group, right? And there was no, everyone can go. You know, it wasn't like the street jams like before. It was a small street jam. And we were hitting all these spots for the first time as, like, a giant group. And then when he hit the Green Goblin at the very end, that like
Oh,
cemented
man.
like the
Yeah.
trademark of what this was, and just, you know, everyone throwing down gnarly stuff in like our backyard. You know, that was the best part. We documented it. It was so much fun.
Not to mention the Rolling Stone article that came out of it.
Right. Yeah. Rolling Stone. That was a weird year too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I remember seeing that actually.
Really?
Did you really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think it's because of Dylan. Like I saw it, but yeah, I remember when that came out. Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yeah, that guy like
Yeah,
he met up with a bunch of the scooter duders that were staying at our house because they were riding down to the bagel shop down the street. It was the cheapest breakfast around, and like they would push down there in a group of like, you know, 10 or 15.
Yeah.
And this guy, naturally, who's a freelance journalist, was like, "What are you guys doing?" He happened to be at the bagel shop at the same time. They told him they were there for a street jam, and they explained it to him and everything, and he was like, "Oh, that's crazy. I'll come check it out." Like,
He was just like hyped on the idea. Like,
yeah,
right
he's
off
just
rip.
like something weird and random, I guess. You know, it's just like, all right, I'll come see that, I guess. And he ended up going around with us the whole day and like, you know, interview Logan Fuller and some of the like key guys who were there that were throwing down, and like, and then ended up going to the Chicago Street Jam after that and like chasing the whole, you know, scooter story.
That's wild. Yeah, that's so wild.
It's so crazy, man. So yeah, by the way, that started in Austin. For the record.
I wonder if he like goes to his like editor and he's like, "Boss, I got this story, I got this scoop." And he's like, "I don't want scooters. I want Spider-Man.
I want Spider-Man now. Okay,
Get
Mr.
back
Jameson.
out there and get me more Spider-Man."
I want pictures of Spider-Man.
Scooters.
Yeah, that guy interviewed me for that article.
Hell yeah,
It was
dude.
pretty interesting.
Did his research.
Under the alias Dylan K. Assman.
It's pronounced ass man.
Make sure to keep that in there.
we can cut that out.
I don't have Spider-Man, but I have Ass Man.
You ever heard of ass man?
Yeah, it's always interesting to. I mean, I knew it was inevitable. Like I kind of, before the article even came out, I sort of, like, just knew the sort of point of view that the article would be written in. You know, because it's like explaining it to people who don't know anything about scootering.
Yeah.
And that's inevitably like
cringy.
really painful for scooter riders. But it's like it just has to be like that. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
But were you guys satisfied with it overall?
Honest.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was stoked on the way it turned out. Like,
Yeah.
I remember messaging Matt the day that came out. I was like, dude, it finally made it, because we had kind of been like keeping tabs on just like, you know, periodically maybe checking like, you know, scooter articles or this guy's Facebook page because we got his contact info.
Yeah.
Dan Gentile, I believe is his name. So shout out Dan. And we were periodically checking. I think Matt got his number at the jam or something, and we were just kind of keeping tabs on it. And then it finally came out, and we were like, wow, that was about as good as we could have expected.
Yeah.
Because of course there's always
Well-
going to be the cringy parts of it where it's like,
Yeah, but
okay,
they even mentioned the Austin Jam. It was like,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, it was fine. It's a scooter article. That's great. Really happy we got publicity and such. But
yeah,
he like literally found it from us and didn't even like. He might have footnoted us. Maybe we got a note in there, but I don't even remember him mentioning us. So I was like,
but I'm not
All
even
right.
bummed about that.
No, I
You
know.
Going to the Chicago Jam, it's like obviously the
It's
Austin
bigger, it's better.
Jam, yeah,
Totally,
They're
I love
looking
it.
they're looking at numbers.
I'm
you
just
know?
answering Dylan's question though. It's like, well, that disappointed me. I was like, well, come on, man. I was like, you know, you could have at least credited us for like helping you find like the article topic. I don't know.
But at the same time, I was really impressed with the amount of background research he did. I was like impressed with the
Yeah.
fact that he like interviewed
He
you,
interviewed the
and-
right people.
and he interviewed Andrew, and he interviewed, you know, people outside of the people he had met at the Austin Street Jam, people who were actually key people in the scooter scene.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, yeah, hell yeah, man, that's great. Like, he presented it fairly, I think, and like not necessarily as like, I don't know, other ways you've seen it presented as like, oh, this is just like this stupid little fad that's happening or whatever. He actually, I feel like he approached it with some journalistic integrity. And he was like
Yeah.
just reporting on what he saw.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
feel like
true.
that presented us fairly, even if it was from an outsider's perspective,
Yeah.
to be honest.
I remember reading it, and you could definitely tell it was like just like, you know, somebody like talking about scootering that didn't scooter or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It was like
Yeah,
a discovery.
I don't remember any specifics, but I just remember it was like funny to read, just like, you know, like knowing. And then I remember there was like something that was like it was like negatively portraying skateboarding, and I was like,
Oh, it was. I think I
Spot
know what
on.
it was. Like, oh, kids aren't picking up skateboards as fast as they're picking up scooters.
yeah,
now.
something like that.
The
yeah.
dying sport? Question mark. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man.
Why's it
Like,
got a
no
Take
data.
that, skateboarding industry.
No data on this. I was like, you started that whole thing off like that.
I was like,
that's
I
a
don't
stretch.
know.
why? What was the point? Like, why to compare it at all? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he
Well,
wanted
they
that
have to
edge. It was like, oh, what are the kids into now? Like, you know?
They have to compare it because in their minds it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, anytime you get kicked out of a spot, hey, no skateboards here. I'm not riding a skateboard. You gotta get the hell out of here.
It
you
happened
know?
the other day.
Yeah, they don't understand
Don't
the difference.
skateboard in the road.
To the untrained eye, it's all the same shit, you know. But we don't see it that way.
Especially here in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Get that two-wheeled thing out of here.
Do you guys think the scooter industry as a whole missed a chance in carrying the momentum of that article? Because I feel like that article came out and nothing happened. You know? Like, it's not... I don't know. It's like... I felt like scootering was, like, on that platform, like, in the higher public eye. But then, like... I don't know. There just, like, wasn't anything in scootering to, like, carry it more. Like, nothing has, like, actually happened in scootering from that article. Which was kind of disappointing to me. But obviously, like... I didn't do anything.
right.
So
I think that's the overwhelming
You know what I mean?
consensus of where we're at. We're just still kind of like an infant sport. Like, we're new and we're growing heavily, but at the same time, our riders still haven't gotten to be grown up enough yet to know what to do when things like this happen.
Yeah.
I figure, you know, I'm 28 now. In 10 years, maybe I'll know what I can do with that and how I can actually help that benefit or push scootering further in a better way, rather than just kind of like rapidly getting content out and then we fade away, right? Like, how do we use this article to sustain us further?
Yeah.
I think that really goes to show like how effective, I guess, written media is nowadays, and how like it fades away. Like,
That's a good
There's
point.
a lot of people that,
Yeah.
a lot of writers now
You
that
do a great
like,
deal.
work really hard on articles that actually like face humanity as a whole and ask questions.
Good.
But then just fade away.
And he's like,
And we see those
So
articles
well.
pop up all the time. I feel like Rolling Stone is just another thing that was written about, and like Scooters was just another thing that was written about. It was like, oh, a little intrigue, but I really think that, written media it's really hard to really get that out there. I feel like it's like that one thing for a week that kind of gets passed around, but I feel like as far as momentum, I don't think it would have carried it in a way.
So if it's the medium, do you think that if there was like an outsiders from scootering that did a documentary, do you think it would have more of an impact? And do you think that scootering would even be worth making a documentary about?
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, visuals capture attention way more than words.
Yeah.
And I don't like saying that, but Instagram is all videos and pictures, and obviously kids love that. And people love Netflix and, visually watching something that's stimulating, which is terrible to say. Written media takes so much time and effort, but I feel like a documentary would, and done right, and obviously, come from an angle that it really hooks an outside view. But I would definitely think some sort of visual thing that kind of captures the aura of like why we do it and answers questions, and really also shows you where the trajectory of scootering and where that's going. I think that would be a little bit easier to digest.
So you think scootering as a whole has enough to offer to be compelling to somebody who does a scooter?
I think I told you this before. Everyone's creative in their own way. They just got to figure out what the medium is. And once they figure out that medium and how they can channel their own creativity, then it kind of it gets people more excited. And I really do think that skateboarding, BMX, scootering, it's all the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you might say it's like, oh, there's always these limitations, make it easier and stuff. Like, well, it's just how we express our, creativity and our passion for things. It doesn't matter what it is, really. It just like how we're going about doing it and who we are as people. How are we doing it as a community? I mean, shoot, like we get talked about all the time because it's scootering from someone who doesn't scooter or whatever, or skateboard. It's lame. It's the automatic response that we all get. And if you don't have more of a, introspective on how people fall in love with the things they do, literally any activity whatsoever, I mean, like, it just, like, once you understand that aspect of it, like, just before this, Matt just showed me his friend that he roller skates, not, like, aggressive inlining, but roller skates, but like, he had his own style to do it, and he was enjoying it, and he was making a Instagram video that was, like, curating to his talent, and I didn't know anything about it, but I was like, he's following his passion, and that's cool. And I don't even know who this guy is, but I shouldn't make fun of him for doing something that he's literally channeling his creativity. I mean, like, he could have done anything, but he chose that, and he chose to really stick to it, and he loves doing it. So, like, I mean, we're always a minority, and we're always talked down upon. I mean, that humbles someone, like, people in, like, are so supportive of, like, each other as a minority, but then when it comes, like, oh, that one's a little weird, so I'm gonna treat you totally different. Like, no, you gotta have an open mind with everything that people do. And if it's a group of people that like doing this, and it's not hurting anyone, and it's not, like, making fun of anyone, people just love doing it, and people have been doing it, and there's a story, there's different types of people that do it, like, that should be interesting. I mean, shoot, like, that just makes me so happy that I get to meet all these different people and different backgrounds and, like, where they really came from. But how do we all get here? Because scootering, this weird toy that got turned into something more. I mean, skateboarding was this weird toy that got turned into something more. It's just bound to happen. It's just a matter of time. But, obviously there's, like, a lot of other factors that are into it, people getting the new generation to go for it, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's still that medium. It's still something that a group of people picked up and really put their energy and time into it. So, yeah.
So I want to know about the scooter company you guys started or are starting. Just the initial inspiration and everything you've had to overcome so far, and just, like, the progress on it.
So the company is called Brother Scooters. This, like, essentially Theo and I have been talking about starting a company for maybe 4 years. And once the Street Jam got going, it kind of it started making more sense and becoming, like, more of a feasible thing that could happen. And at least in my head, so I got married to my wife in 2017 in October. And then for whatever reason, it kind of started clicking. I'm like, okay, I'm at a point in life now where I'm married. I still scooter. I still have free time. No children. So, like, I don't know. For anybody who's married that rides, which is like 1%, but for anybody who does ride and is married, like, that your priorities change, and so essentially, like, you hang out with friends less, and there's kind of more open time that either goes to your wife or to your work or whatever. And in my head, I was like, okay, right now is the right time. And so just pretty much, like, a couple months after Jen and I got married in the beginning of 2018, I started just working on designing parts and getting that started. And it's been a momentum thing, I think. As I started, I didn't know what I was doing. You have no idea what you're doing. And when I start things, I'm a completionist, so I want to do it and do it the best that I can, and I kind of have to finish it. And the more I learn about myself and I learn about what makes me move and go, it's scooters, and that becomes more and more clear every day. I'm like, I want to be involved with scooters, and so with that understanding, day by day comes this momentum that rolls. So anyway, I would say the first 3 or 4 months to spend just designing an SCS and a set of bars, just simple as that. But just kind of like designing, going through manufacturers as to who you're going to choose, and getting prototypes, so on and so forth. And we've kind of been overcoming challenges as to like who's our manufacturer going to be. What do we think about these prototypes? We've had to make changes to that multiple times, and now we're so on and so forth. And now we're kind of at the last point where I'd say we're 85% done, and we're close to launching, brother. And I feel like momentum's at full swing right now. I feel like is that Mike? Yay!
Mike!
Hey.
Hi, Mike.
What's up, boy?
Mike DeYoung just showed up.
Oh,
Take a seat, brother. We're doing a podcast.
You're on candid camera.
no way. Oh, dude, fuck yeah.
But yeah, so Theo and I, we just been working on it essentially, and it was slow at first. It was more so just like, let's see how this works out. And now that we're getting so close to being done, it's like, okay, this momentum's going, let's keep it going. We're putting more man hours into finishing it, into launching the website. Our manufacturer, we're supposed to be shipping out products in February. And then, and then the next step is figuring out who are my distributors going to be, and who are the relationships that I have to build next. And it's all just essentially just setting up the building blocks to a platform, which will be Brother. And for me, it's brand new. I've never done a business, and it's a little intimidating because there are already so many established companies that have gone through all those steps, but 10 years ago, right? When there was no competitors, when it was kind of an open market.
Yeah.
But, in my head anyway, I think that I'm just completely inspired, because the more that I ride with, Mike, Andy, Theo, the more that we get to do this as we grow older, the more I'm just realizing, like, this is what I want to do. And so I'm going to fully go at it, and I'm going to do it the best that I can, and make it about scooters, not make it about money, not make it about power or whatever some people or businesses may go for. For me, it's just about the longevity of scooters and the growth of scooters. And one of the first kind of goals that I have for it is Texas. But anyway, so we're goal oriented, and I think that we kind of have, Theo and I have the right mindset for starting it. But yeah, we're almost there. I'd say we're a couple months away from launching it, and it's really exciting.
So, besides the actual manufacturing process, what did you guys think in terms of the image of the company? What were your goals? Because that's pretty much the most important part.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
My
I guess
thoughts
having
exactly.
scooter parts that don't break and perform well is good. But
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So obviously the focus is making quality parts that are gonna ride well, that people are gonna want to ride, that we would want to ride ourselves, which is what we've been working on over the last year, prototyping Matt's designs and kind of finding flaws and fixing them and perfecting the product. And yeah, man, it's the image of the company and just kind of the designs that we use to develop a brand, basically, has been a huge focus of mine through the process, and just making sure that it's something that looks just aesthetically pleasing and also professional. It doesn't look like it's created on a PowerPoint or whatever, or Microsoft Paint, and that's been a large part of the focus. And living here in Austin has been great because we've made a lot of friends who are either working in some kind of graphic design or advertising or some form of artistic endeavor, some form of artistic outlet. And so we've utilized a lot of those friendships and those connections to work with, and basically kind of work with them in an unstructured format to basically, first and foremost, our focus has always been to explain what scootering is, and explain the concept of it, because we didn't want to simply hire someone that was some professional designer and just be like, hey, we need a brand, and it's for whatever product. We wanted it to be very integrated with what we were selling, and we wanted to, both develop a professional image and also, just create something that looked cool, to be honest. And I feel like that's what we've accomplished working with these people, and that's been awesome. Just that process of figuring out what we wanted and what we wanted our company to kind of look like, as far as on our website and on Instagram, on social media. So yeah, that's been a huge part of it, man. I would say it's It's an integral piece.
And to add on a little bit too, I think that I'm not sure if this is the question you were asking or not, but also like our image is also like outside of the aesthetics of like the graphic design in the company and so on and so forth. Like I think that our image is more so we're trying to take the adult approach, you know, like Proto till like being I would say the starters of this like professional approach that we're like, yeah, I mean, of course we want to reach out to kids, but like this is like an adult brand. Like the goal here is to mature scooter riders from scooter kids to scooter adults that can bring this into, like, okay, how do I put this?
Make us all brothers.
Brothers!
Exactly.
Brothers! But it's like, I don't know, like one of the things Theo and I have talked about is like, of course we want to have a stacked team, and we're developing, and it's going to take time to get a stacked team. But at the same time, like I also want to create like Theo and I want to create a platform where it's like it's not necessarily all about the magnitude of the riding. It's about more so like the culture behind it, the brotherhood behind it. It's about, you know, like first and foremost, it's like one of the goals like that I have that I'll repeat is like I want to bring Texas to be like a scene. I want Texas to have a scene, and I want, you know, scooter riders to know that they can, if they move to Austin, if they were to get sponsored by Brother, whatever the case is, that they can develop from a scooter kid into like a grown adult scooter rider that you don't have to, this isn't your main job, like you don't have to just scooter. Like I want them to know that they can be kind of like, of course at a good skill level, but you don't have to like pump out the hardest content on Instagram and yada yada yada. Like of course we're gonna have that like content, but with that being said, like it's more about like the brotherhood and the lifestyle that you see scootering as, which to us is just really about scootering with longevity. It's like we want to continue progressing for as long as possible. So if you've got a unique style to offer, if you've got a unique trick selection to offer, if you've got a unique personality to offer, like these are all factors in my head that will go into how we develop Brother and how our image is as a team and as like a company.
Yeah, I mean we really look at scootering so personally, to be honest.
I totally agree. Yeah,
that was, I think, what we figured out through this whole process, which has been like, roller coaster ride for sure. Just starting up a company, just figuring out what our different perspectives are on scootering. It's different for everyone, but I think, yeah,
here and there.
And I think the common ground that we reached was scootering is about more than just the physical act of scootering. It's about the friendships that you create around scootering. It's about the experience of riding a scooter, going on trips with your friends, going out spot hunting on a daily basis, and just the passion that comes with that, and not wanting to get something out of scootering even necessarily, though that's awesome as a byproduct. Obviously, we always celebrate that whenever our friends get sponsored, like Andy getting sponsored by Proto, or like anyone who's gotten sponsored or done amazing things in scootering. That's not the focus, at least not for us. And I think there are a lot of people out there that have this mindset. It's really about the experience of it, and it's about the love of scootering itself.
Yeah.
And what do you do when you're not sponsored? What do you do when you're not winning contests on your scooter? Do you just hate your life and you're just like, I failed? Or are you like, wow, I still have my scooter, I'm still gonna go out and ride, I can go out and do my thing, like that's really what we boiled it down to, I think. And that's where the brother aspect kind of came in. And shout out to one of our good friends, Becca Swiatek, for giving us the idea of Brother when it was sitting right in front of our faces, because we say it all the time. And
not Turd Ranch, thank God.
Yeah, we threw
Turd
around
Ranch
the idea
scooters.
of Turd Ranch, 'cause it's also very important to us.
One other point too, sorry to interrupt, I will say too, one of the first things that we thought of as well, because Theo and I think like to some degree just I don't know how to put this without sounding like an asshole, but like we're aware that we like to include people. Like there are teams that I feel like are more exclusive, and not naming anybody, but it's just like one thing I like about our mentalities that I think that we can contribute to scootering, and which will cultivate the growth of scootering in Texas and hopefully in general, is that we like to include everybody. Like I want everybody of every skill level to know that like they're welcome, to like come to the jams. We're going to talk to them, and like they're welcome to talk to us. And it's like we are brothers. Like, yeah, there's going to be an age gap. We're not going to be able to talk about much, or the same thing, right? But we have that
So you like
scootering.
lean.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe not on the record, but it's like, yeah, it's like, 15-year-old kid that comes to the street gym, like, oh, sick, like, you scooter? So do I. That makes me so happy because, at least from my experience growing up, like, nobody scootered, and I want it to be where a decade from now we've, had an impact in Texas or in total in general, of like the cultivation of Texas scene, of the Texas scene with scootering, and like the amount of riders that have stuck with it throughout that time.
Yeah, I really think y'all together, you, Theo and Matt, have like over the years, pushing 5 years now doing the street jam. Like, you guys have learned, you literally, what you're saying right now is like you're trying to cultivate the new kids and then also guide the high schoolers going to college kids out of like,
Right.
or like just
All
older, like
the
people that
phases
are
of life.
aging. Like, you're learning all this through the street jams itself, and you're like, we need to create something, and ultimately it manifested into Brother Scooters. Like, this is a community that you can really be a part of, whatever age you are, and knowing that like you're welcome, and we want to see you progress, not only through scootering, but through your own life in general. And then now you guys are you're literally believing in like this, what you run at the street jam, and you're putting that belief and passion into a company, and then also into parts and media and things like that. It's more like, it's something that people don't really talk about scootering, but like obviously everyone feels it through the internet and like, meeting other people that do the same thing as you. But at the same time, you're literally creating an image in itself visually that says you're welcome here, and we understand you, and then we also create quality parts. Like, that's a given. But that's something that no one's really touched. And I go back to what I said earlier, where scootering, you meet a lot of people, either they like your scootering or not. You just kind of roll with the punches, and we're gonna be the guys that just want you to know, it's like you're one of us. Like, you are one of our friends, whoever you are. And this is a community that just really wants to nurture those people. So yeah, like, it's fantastic. And like, I see these guys every single day working really hard. I help and I contribute. I give my ideas all the time, but they are really pushing it, and it's pretty scary. I mean, like, from me, I was like, damn, a company, like, you guys are like really putting the money and effort, time, testing, and all of this stuff every single day, and it's so cool to see. It's really so cool to see. And like, this is what people, like, scootering has made people into entrepreneurs. And like, everyone's also, you guys don't really preach like rider own all that much, because it's more like it's less about like who is it run by, but like how are the people around it treating each other. You know what I mean?
I think that rider own too is just self-apparent.
Yeah,
like, you don't even need to preach it, because you'll see us there. We'll be riding. So.
Plus,
exactly.
I'm planning on quitting soon.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Dude, no way.
Just like vaping. Huh?
I bought my Heelys last week.
I can't shake the habit.
I digress.
So what people or companies inspire you to do things with Brother? What are some things lately?
That's a good question. So, I mean, man, we certainly gained a lot of inspiration from the forefathers of the scootering industry.
Yep.
Had a great conversation with Andrew Broussard of Proto, and getting his insight into the scootering industry was invaluable, man. It was incredible. Like, I was fanning out. I took like screenshots on my computer.
It was there was like 10 of them, bro.
Real,
like,
really,
one's enough, my
shout
friend.
out
really
Boss
creepy
Man.
stuff, you know.
It was like a video call?
It was a
Yeah,
video
yeah,
call.
we
Okay.
were doing
Yeah.
a Google Hangout, and
That's cool.
yeah,
Is it on? Can you see me?
I plastered the pictures all over my wall. You know,
Set it
there's,
as my,
there's thousands
my
of
screensaver.
screensaver.
Yeah, right.
It's all over the place.
There's
but
pretty wallpaper,
It's not weird though. You know, it's just I'm a big fan.
It's on the mustache.
I only
You
made
can't
2
grow one.
t-shirts with your face on it, dude.
It's fine, Andrew. I love you. I want your skin. And Yeah, so that was a huge inspiration. Obviously, what Proto's done, Andrew is like a visionary in that area, and it was cool like getting to look up to him in that way. Now that we've kind of moved into this stage of trying to form our own company and get into this crazy scootering industry, and really impressed with what Colin has done with Tilt, as far as product design and part design,
Right.
and as far as the image that he's put out.
Their professional images.
Yeah. The
inspiring.
company image of Tilt was a real big inspiration for us. Just the seamless kind of branding and image, even as far as color schemes go, and I mean, as even down to the details of like fonts and whatnot. Tilt is just like really presented well as a professional company, and Dylan, your efforts in that are not overlooked. And that was a huge source of our inspiration. Tommy Dodano was another big guy that we looked up to. Not even necessarily as a manufacturer, though I'm sure he's done that at some point in his scooter career. But as a company owner within scootering and running Outset, and what he's done with building the community in the Midwest there, and just making sure that is always an integrated part of the business. And even Tommy coming down to Austin, 1 year and getting to meet him, was just really cool to meet him and learn his perspective on the scene, and just get to know him. Like, Tommy's an awesome dude, like amazing. Can't speak highly enough of that guy. But
yeah,
those are three of the big ones that came to mind for me. Ryan Upchurch is another huge inspiration too. Just as far as
Dan Barrett.
entrepreneurial, Ryan and Dan, just as far as entrepreneurial passion goes, and just self-starters that they don't need anyone else around them that's nearly as driven as them. They will just make it happen. Like Ryan, just companies pop up around Ryan, it seems like, or he's feeding into a business in some form or fashion pretty much at any point in his life. So these are all guys that we've been really, really fortunate to know, and we're really just happy to talk to us about our own endeavors and our plans with Brother, and kind of give us inside feedback. So we consulted heavily with those guys, and to varying extents, but that's what I got.
I think that it's a small number of companies, but at the end of the day, like, it's the ones that Theo named, like maybe including Hell Grip for me as an inspiration, and mostly just because these companies are either focusing on being an adult company, it seems, in my opinion. Like, I don't track all the companies tightly, like extremely tightly. Follow me on Instagram, that's really the gist of it. But I can see, in my opinion, which companies are catering towards little kids, which is great, which is needed. I'm not even knocking on it, but what I want to do in my head is cultivate the kids into the adults that are going to stick with it. This is my personal opinion, but I think that the kids is the quick cash. It's like, it's hot right now. It's hot. Kids want to buy this because it's popular right now. But I want to make sure that, and this is what I see in like companies like Hell Grip, Tilt Proto, probably Aztec as it grows and grows. Like, it's still new, but it's hot right now. Like, but like, I want to see the kids cultivate into adults that are going to make sure that this sport holds out. Because, dude, this has been my life. Like, scootering since I was 12 was my life. So anyway, in my head, I'm like, that's more important to me, dude, is making sure that this stays around forever, so that, as time passes or whatever, it'll develop into a grounded sport like skateboarding or, BMX. I'd say, I don't know, like, maybe we're even at BMX now, but, like skateboarding. So I would say, Tilt, Andrew, the Godfather, and there's multiple others, like, personal inspirations for me are like honestly Casey Corning and Josh Toy, the OGs, just the ones that stuck with it but still managed to ride from time to time, and still are a part of the scene. So they inspire me in different ways, but company-wise, Pro Tilt, Hell Grip, Aztec,
Affinity.
Oh, shout out,
Super cool.
Good call. Can't keep up with them all, but
I feel like if you just even like get that one kid to like believe in it enough to take risks within it, like y'all are. And you too, Dylan, with your podcast, like wanting to do something. If you reach out and help that one kid that doesn't really know what's going on, and they get that influence, I feel like that's a win, man. I feel like it's a win. If you kind of like you're preaching, like you're an individual that can really contribute. Whether it's through your writing, or whether it's your assistance through an event or even like starting any sort of media. I think anything in that realm will help scootering as a whole. And that's wishful thinking, yeah, but like I literally we all started somewhere, and we're here now doing this thing.
Andy,
Like-
that was so deep.
Dude, no, I'm serious.
Thing,
I'm
man.
serious. We're doing this podcast talking about it, but we all started. It was a janky scooter that I put bolts in, and
Dude,
now
we're
it's
here
this.
now, bro.
And now we're here. Like I just that's so cool to me, and I'm still doing it. There's times I was like, I'm gonna give this up.
Yeah.
It's not worth my time or anything like that. But now it's turned into something that I really do cherish, and I think I already said this by reiterating. Like it got me my job. It's pushing my career forward, thanks to the relationships I made within it.
Like you were in a music video.
Oh yeah, I was also in the emo music video.
Look it up.
You
Facts.
were?
It was Red Car Wire at the Allen Allen Skate Park in Texas.
Andy
2
was-
minutes and 31 seconds in, you're gonna see a scooter rider do no tuck
I
no
got to do a
hander.
tuck no hander that was well below code, but I got into it.
Andy was destined for greatness from the beginning, and we all knew it.
From that moment on.
Do you know Man Kong was in a music video?
Was he really?
No way.
Oh yeah,
Man,
it was from.
Was it a vegan music?
No,
video?
it was.
Yes. yes, it was.
Don't
No,
eat
just,
meat.
just,
Don't hurt
a couple
animals.
Of the New York riders were also featured in. So was Hep Greg. Hep Greg was in a music video for some rapper out in New York City.
That was years before. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but scooter riding's always been in music videos. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
always.
man.
Always.
They're just
Since the
cultivated
80s.
towards-
Two solid entries. That's always.
We created
Hey.
MTV.
Big Short's got like 5 entries, bro.
No. Oh, can I tell you a crazy story?
No,
So,
you're not allowed to.
I worked at
I
a
this.
radio station in my college for 2 years as music director, and like I got so many like submissions from like little artists but also big artists at the same time. This one year, it was so weird. I love telling this. This one CD I got was a rapping duo.
Yeah.
I totally forget who the other guy was.
Oh, well, that's great.
The other guy, it was just like a rapping duo, but one of them was Zig Short, still going by Zig Short.
No
And it was
way.
it was an album that was sent to me to play on my college radio station. Like they do it, like he probably hired someone or he did it himself, where he sent it off to college radio stations to play.
Really?
And I know this guy because he scooters. It was so weird, and he wasn't even like playing the whole scooter thing. He was like in the photos, like he was like doing kung fu poses and rapping.
He's into
Well,
kung
wait,
fu.
what
right?
is Zig Short doing nowadays, though? 'Cause,
Match?
I'll
You
tell
know, we
you,
had him over
I
for
love
dinner.
Zig Short. He's doing kung fu, or whatever form of
Isn't he,
martial
like,
arts this
professor?
is. I might great on it.
It's Tai Chi, man.
It's not Tai Chi. And computer programming. That's he's laying low a little bit.
He got
but
his degree.
He literally is doing computer science right now, which is amazing.
Is that the future?
Huh?
Is that the future?
That's the
Computer
future.
programming. Yeah, right.
Coding
He's
is the
making it-
future.
he's building the future.
Yo, Theo,
All
I'm getting-
listeners, teach your kids
I
coding.
can't see with all these clouds, bro. You gotta
Hey,
chill out with that.
man, that's just the fire, you know. My clouds are humble.
He's sitting down.
Dude, that's so
He's being
crazy. Zig Short, man.
Sit down, bitch.
Connor Davidson is a programmer now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
that
building
really,
the
that
future.
I've
really
never met
is
him.
the future.
Yeah, I don't really know what he's like, but I know he's gnarly.
Gnarly in what way?
In the scootering way.
Oh,
I've just never
yeah.
met him,
Doesn't
so I'm like, I have no
shave his
context for it.
big You know, gnarly.
It's not
Man,
long
that
hair.
is gnarly.
We're, like,
You should
bandanas
know.
with-
Fuck. Damn, am I gnarly?
I start contemplating life. I'm like, yo, is this gnarly? Going to the bathroom?
Yeah.
I'm going outside just to make it gnarly.
It's gnarly.
It's raining.
Smells crazy.
I'm gonna pee in this corner today.
Well, what else do you
Change
guys
it
want
up.
to talk about? Mike, do you have anything?
Dude, my
Mike,
knees are so
bring
tired
some
after
fresh
this damn
perspective
drive.
to
All
this
right.
combo,
Like, when
man.
are you gonna?
What's up with
when are you gonna be
motorcycles,
able
man?
to be here with just like walking out of the door? When are you gonna live here?
Oh, dude, that's a great
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, we
We've
talked
been
about that
asking
earlier,
that
bro.
for a
Oh,
long
wait,
Where's your-
time.
where's your Dell
Did we
job?
talk about the time that I lived here for 6 months every single weekend?
We talked
Yeah.
about it real briefly.
No, actually, we should talk about that for like 1 second. So like hammer into it.
So there was
Second,
this
yeah, so-
girl.
Yeah, there was this chick, and like I was here every weekend, from Friday to Sunday night, I would just drive.
For about 3 months.
How far away do you live?
3 hours.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it was just under 300 miles.
He was in love, dude.
He was in love. This is
Lay
true.
off,
Dude,
bro.
hey. She's gone with the wind.
She's not. She still comes around.
I know, yeah.
We run into her all the damn time, bro.
Yo, I've seen her at the skate park a couple times, but no. And then just made the drive earlier today. Had work this morning. Just chilling. Other than that, yeah.
Why not come to Austin though?
Oh, why not? Okay, so why not move here?
Yeah.
So right now, currently, I live with my girlfriend, and I sort of have like a position up there where it's kind of iffy. Like I'm not enjoying my job too much, so I'm starting to look for new work. And this new company I applied for that I'm just waiting to hear a call back from. Their
Wayfair?
actual main
Wayfair?
headquarters. Yeah. Well, no.
Oh.
Wayfair turned out to be not a thing.
I want that free furniture.
Well, no, because
Just waiting for that plug.
more about the Wayfair thing. So I had a plug with inside the company, but they opened up a new warehouse up near me. But they brought in people to start it, and then they're gonna hire down the line once it's started. So it's like a 2-year process just to get hired within that company at a new facility. But so I started looking for like logistical positions, which is what I studied in school. And I found this company called MedSpeed, which is like a pharmaceutical transportation company. So like they transport drugs to and from the like hospitals and stuff like that to like labs.
Yeah.
They do a bunch of lab tests and like there's this transportation like pickup from A to B. And their headquarters are down in Austin. So
Dude.
yeah, so like I
What?
would yeah. Yeah, that's a thing. It might happen.
Like the sound of this.
in the near future. Like so,
Oh,
I
Andy,
applied
get
right
that
now
out of there,
for
It's aluminum foil.
a supervisor position to
fine,
start
see?
off in Dallas.
It'll
and then
explode,
hopefully
it's
work
good.
my way up and then come down here.
Yeah.
Microwave.
'Cause right now I'm stuck in a
Yeah, but
2-year
it's
lease
full of toxins, bro.
with my house that's chill.
Okay.
Yeah.
My cool dog that's not mine. And my girlfriend, so it's fun.
Well, we were like talking earlier, or I guess Andy mainly, about how it's like hard to be sort of like the one person in your town and stay motivated to scooter.
Oh,
do you,
yeah.
do you like? Are there other people you ride with there?
So up in Dallas, we have I would say a destructive scene. Cause like there's just a bunch of shit talking between all these kids,
Yeah.
and then there's like the 3 dudes I ride with. So shout out to Alex Pilar. This is-
Woo!
Or TextMix214 on Instagram.
Alejandro.
Yeah, so he's like his
call
dad
my name.
considers me as this like his white brother. So it's just like I sort of took him under my wing when I first moved to Dallas, and then like we started like a little bit of crew. Like Colby Bond was in that too, and then when these fools like would come up and visit their families, so Thea would come up from here, come up from A&M from school. We all just got together, but so it was just Colby, Alex, and I, and now Alex and I just both work 50-hour work weeks, and I scooter when I can.
Yeah.
So it's like normally I try to set like 1 to 2 days a week just to go out to a park or go film or something just after work, because doing the 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift at my job is hell.
Yeah.
So I come home, I'm just like, I just want to sit on the couch and not do anything.
Yeah.
But I do ride my scooter every day, because instead of running my dog, I scooter my dog. So I scooter him 2 miles every single day. So I
That's
still
better
get,
than me, man.
I still get my pushing in, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it's cool. I live on a hill, so it makes it really easy. So I just hill
You just
bomb.
bomb it?
I bomb the hill with my dog, and I just go around the block, and I just do it again. Do it twice. It's 2 miles. He's pooped by the end, and then I'm just sort of just, you know.
Does he pull you up the hill? Or
Well, no. Okay, so my dog.
that dog's
okay,
ripped.
so my dog's like 85 pounds. He's huge.
Is that a healthy 85?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a healthy. He's not
he's
fat.
a
Yo,
great
big.
Dane.
this
He's
dog,
lanky.
Yo, he's about the size of Andy. If you guys have ever met
He's
him,
lanky.
he's punched him in the face.
Oh yeah, he made me bleed.
Yeah.
He punched me in the face and like I bit my lip on the inside and I instantly started bleeding.
Damn.
Yeah, they're
But,
different
like,
from cats.
He didn't bite me. He just like popped up on me
He
and then
full
popped me in the
on-
mouth.
Full on did a headbutt. He's like, "Fuck you, Andy." Boom. But he's like, "You're not petting me fast enough." So he's a Catahoula. So he's like a working dog.
Yeah.
And so, like, as soon as I go out of my garage and like I make a left onto my street, I say, "Get him!" Like, so it's like one day he saw a squirrel at the end of the street.
Yeah.
I was like, "Go get him!" And then he'll book it. So I'm like, I don't have to do anything for maybe about half a mile. Like I
Yeah.
normally just let him pull me, like, you know how like you're behind like a boat or something when you're water skiing. The exact same thing, but I'm on a scooter. I'm just like, hell yeah! And then we get to a turn, and so I pull him, and he runs on my left hand side. But then I finally figured out that the sidewalk's smoother than the street, and then I've mastered the sidewalks, like where all like the little holes are and everything. So now we can just bomb sidewalks.
Have you jumped the wake yet?
Yeah, dude. No, like I have full on like. Okay, so on the second lap with the dog, I'll like just let him walk himself. So I'll just like give him the leash and he'll carry it.
Yeah.
And I just just do tail whips on the way back to the house. It's pretty fun.
We come from all sorts of people, quite a family line. And when we together, we already lost our minds. Well, don't mess with me, 'cause she'll mess with you, and we'll give you hell before we turn you loose. Rolling deep, family.
All right, that's it for episode 21. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to try to keep doing episodes like this just because I find that it's more organic and sort of interesting when I'm recording things in the field. I enjoy it a little bit more. I've been playing around with the idea of recording and editing a sort of like tighter edited episode in the field where it switches between studio recordings and like in the field recordings, maybe like music and stuff like that. And I'm just not sure what it would be on, but I think that's maybe the next thing I'm interested in doing. So as always, thanks to Ben Bursell for the music in this podcast, and for all questions or suggestions, email thetandempod@gmail.com, and I will see you in the next episode.